Okay, so you know how when the price of ETH goes up, say it moons hard, what tends to happen to the gas fee? Well, it goes up. Imagine, imagine, because what I'm hearing is the price of oil might be going up, and it's happening to Finbear. So this is US based stuff. For some reason, I'm getting emails about it, just letting me know that the price of oil may increase, but you know the flow on from that is your price of gas at the pump is most likely going to increase, and most likely here in Australia or wherever you are in the world, your gas price is likely to increase. Now, no biggie, but I thought I would cover some politics after that, because I don't want to go through all of that, because pulling up some emails and trying to piece it all together, I've been off the net for a little bit and come back. The world's gone insane. Even more insane than when I left. Price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's all up. Price of gas, you probably noticed, is up as well. And that's why I thought I would cover this, because it matches with the like the gas price, like not ETH, but gas, like actual oil gas price. Petrodollar gas price is going up. Have a look what Joe Biden did. This is not just conspiracy theory. This is actual fact. He was draining the strategic oil reserves in the US. So that kept the price of, at the pump, kept the prices artificially low. And now we'll see what happens. Anyway, what we'll do is covering geopolitics. Now, I'm not sure how an existing US president is going to fix anything, or a new one, but funnily enough here, there's a new Twitter account out. It's not Trump himself, but it's the Trump War Room. It is also at Trump War Room. I wasn't sure if this was a troll account or a meme account or a parody account, but it says the official War Room account of the 2024 Trump campaign. This account punches back 47 times harder. I have no idea why 47. Yeah, because it's currently 46. So maybe that's what it's implying. 47th. I think he was 45 from memory. And it does cover some pretty cool stuff. What I'll do, I'll play this. I don't know if you guys like this sort of stuff, but I'll play this through. It should come through the audio.
There is no more dire threat to the American way of life than the corruption and weaponization of our justice system, and it's happening all around us. If we cannot restore the fair and impartial rule of law, we will not be a free country. As president, it will be my personal mission to restore the scales of justice in America. We will have fairness and equality under the law, and to that end, I will appoint U.S. attorneys who will be the polar opposite of the Soros district attorneys and others that are being appointed throughout the United States. Very unfair to our population, very unfair to our country. They will be the 100 most ferocious legal warriors against crime and communist corruption that this country has ever seen. As we completely overhaul the Federal Department of Justice and FBI, we will also launch sweeping civil rights investigations into Marxist local district attorneys. And that's what we have. They're Marxists in many cases. By refusing to charge countless crimes, these Soros prosecutors appear to be engaging in selective enforcement based on illegal racial discrimination. In Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and every other city where these maniacs have taken over, the DA's offices should face federal subpoenas of their staff, their emails, and their records to determine whether they have blatantly violated federal civil rights law. As part of this effort, there should be a federal inquiry into the Soros prosecutor in Austin, Texas, who charged a veteran with murder for defending himself against a threat by a heavily armed member of a radical left mob. I will also order the Department of Justice to establish a task force on protecting the right to self-defense, which is under siege nationwide. In addition, we will have a complete investigation into the use of police state tactics by federal authorities to arrest conservatives and Christians. We will find out who ordered it, and we will hold them totally accountable. There is much more that we must do. We have to confront this radicalized law in schools. You take a look at what they've done to our schools, our beautiful schools. We have to reform the far-left bar associations and stop the purge of conservative lawyers from major law firms. I will do whatever it takes to save our legal system, among the greatest achievements of Western civilization, from the Marxist barbarians who seek to destroy it. And we will do that. We will save it. Thank you very much.
Hang on. Audio check. Alright, so human error there. Why do you care? Why should I care? It's US politics. I'm in Australia. It shouldn't matter to me at all. But during the, his run back in, oh my god, I can't even think. Was it 2016? 2020? Whatever it was, man, mental blank. So during his previous run, all people said was, not gonna happen, not gonna happen. He's gonna lose, orange mad bad. I'm like, hang on. I'm hearing some different stuff here. I'm living in a parallel universe. I put money down on Trump to win, which paid. And no one believed me. And I'm like pointing some things out, like, maybe he might win. Now, that aside, we then saw the huge anti-Trump campaign and everyone's celebrating his demise and all this shit. It's still happening to this day, but looking back now, time has passed, and it almost seems as if people either have a really short memory or they just refuse to admit that they were wrong in any way, shape, or form. Again, politics, it's just bad as religion. Everyone disagrees. Everyone has their own point of view. So I'll try and drop it there, but what I'm seeing is, I don't know. I think Trump might get it. I honestly think he might. Now, what else? If he doesn't, Biden wins again. I don't know what the world's coming to. But the fact that people will blindly follow, well, mostly blindly follow the talking points of the day is frustrating. So when people point out, opposition to this, it sort of shatters their paradigm, their understanding, because no one thought Trump could win. He won. Everyone thought, hopefully he would win again, but there were many out there that said, his policies were bad. Usually policies like that tend to only get one election, be president one time round. Good presidents usually get to be, back-to-back presidents. And so goes the talking points. Now, people have said, He was difficult to work with. Again, this is all just media coverage stuff. I don't know firsthand. Again, by the time it gets to me, man, I'm some internet sleuth. But we do have where am I trying to go with this? Basically, Trump is rolling out an online social campaign, a whole new way to follow him, and meanwhile, Biden, I'm not seeing any Biden, war room. Again, it could be affected by my feed though. More narratives and more like how systems work sort of analysis. The next thing that's worth looking at, so trying to forget about politics and that. Oh, that's right. Sorry. So I really disliked Operation Warp Speed, like with a passion. And also I heard under US President Trump's watch, the zero reserves came out. So, directly affecting legacy financial system and markets. Now, putting that aside, the momentum behind him to actually win in the first place was pretty cool. So whether or not we see that again, it did lead to like huge division across the planet, and then COVID hit, and then it was just it's just been a shit show. But the next thing is, now this may, if you follow cryptocurrency, you may have heard, the MiCA in the EU, that if it's true DeFi, maybe it's not covered by anything in the EU. But if you see the US sees decentralized crypto platforms as exchanges, seeks public input. This is very interesting. So this took place, a similar exercise is taking place in Australia. There's even another bill that's been put forward, and I'm starting to lose track of it all because it's becoming very confusing and very difficult to follow. Now, we had at least 3 that I can think of. We had a how we should treat cryptocurrencies back in 2017. I put some input. There was one I missed about treating Bitcoin as a foreign currency. There's a digital assets and how it should be treated. There was, which I was able to put a submission to. Then there was the token mapping, which I was able to put a submission to. Putting forward my point of views, my research point of views, things like that. And now what we're seeing, so that was from the Treasury, and I can't remember off the top of my head, I think it was the Taxation Board for the Digital Asset Review, and the other, I think the first one for 2017 was the Taxation Board also. Now the 2 other ones I'm not sure, but they weren't the enforcement arm. Now, again, not legal advice, not any advice, internet sleuth here. But if you compare, say, ASIC, Australian Securities and Exchange Commission, they are basically the enforcement arm, and similar in nature to the SEC, which is US based. Now, again, not a legal expert, but what I can see taking place is, as per these articles, but by the time it gets to me, remember, it's extremely old, basically saying that they are, let's read it. Hey, should we read it? Let's have a read. I'll read the headline because I don't want to misspeak on it. US SEC sees decentralized crypto platforms as exchanges, seeks public input. Now, I'll put links in below. It sounds like they are trying to say, that literally DeFi, all of DeFi, will be treated no differently to CeFi. And this is where it gets confusing, because you have centralized exchanges and the failures that took place with all the regulation now being put into the same, trying to fall under the same peg as DeFi, decentralized exchanges, which, yes, there is, admittedly, you can see there's been contract risk after contract risk. There's been issues where people literally lose their keys. There's been people that just fall for scams and all sorts of reasons why people might think that the public needs protection. Now, what is happening, Robert? If the thing is, though, if their whole argument is to protect the public, right? why isn't part of this protection or proposed protection or whatever they're planning on doing, why don't they begin to teach the public teach a man to fish, if you're able to teach individuals how to engage safely and how to identify what is real DeFi and what is not, if you're able to teach individuals how to keep their keys safe, that would be a way of protecting the individual. It's almost like saying the internet, right? So the internet can be bad. There's so many vectors which could be attacked. Think about it. User error, social engineering, the malware aspect, all sorts of ways in which you could use the internet incorrectly. You could log on to a fake bank account if you have no idea what your bank account website is, and give out your password and give out all your identification by mistake. Now, you would then say, by that argument, you would then say, instead of teaching people how the internet works, which is, kind of a difficult task, but instead of teaching them how to use the internet safely, let's just, ban the internet or something like that. This is the logic that I'm starting to see, and it's almost as if it's just pure laziness on behalf of the regulators, which I hate to say, because I'm pretty sure the majority of them, aren't actively every day waking up going, I want to screw crypto over as hard as I can, right up the arse. But that's what, some people might think. But if that isn't the case, and it's just poor leadership, and they're like a boat with no rudder, then being able to actually provide input to them, so maybe they can read and understand what it is that people are seeing, in a clear and concise manner. No spelling errors, please. I would urge anyone who has any interest in cryptocurrency at all, whether you're a Bitcoin maxi all the way down to a shitcoin shiller, if you think that DeFi doesn't need the government to come in and provide whatever regulation they see fit, maybe you should submit a comment to them explaining why. Maybe explaining your experience. Maybe explaining the importance of teaching people how to keep their keys safe. Maybe teaching them at a very simple level so that they can understand what it is you're actually talking about. Because most of us would be, when we talk to each other in the crypto space, it's almost like we're preaching to the choir. And as we develop, we learn more and more. But you teach that to an absolute no-coiner who has been pre-programmed that crypto is a scam, crypto is designed for scamming, crypto is tied up with anything bad you can think of. It's tied up to Tornado Cash, which is tied up to sanctions. It's tied up to Silk Road, which is tied up to narcotics trade online, and all sorts of evil shit. Someone from that point of view, that world, looking at cryptocurrency, they're going to go, these assholes in DeFi are just trying to circumvent regulation. Oh, we're going to get them. It's like, hang on, okay, yeah, there's some bad things that take place in the cryptocurrency space. You can see every day you type in crypto news. Look at the FTXs, the Celsiuses, then look at all the other contract exploits that are constantly happening. Look at the thread on Richard Hart's thread, all the bad thing that's taking place. It's like never ending, because people do not understand. They either make the same mistake over and over and over again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you keep doing the same mistake over and over and over again, seriously, you need to reconsider whether or not you should be engaging with crypto. Now, this is a teaching thing. This is explaining to the world your understanding about cryptocurrency and admitting that you don't understand what it is that you're doing and you're getting scammed. Why? Because you're trying to make money or something. It's like going to the casino, right, as an adult of age, of sound mind, and the understanding that you're in a casino. I'm not comparing this to cryptocurrency, I'm saying, just generally saying, understanding that you're in the casino and you have $100 chip and you're going up to the roulette table and you understand that if you put it on black and red comes up, you lose that chip. Okay, so then people go in, they put their money in. Oh, I just lost my money. So hang on, you were in the casino. What do you think was going to happen? You wouldn't be whinging if it went up. If you doubled your money, would you? No. It is very frustrating. It's almost like people get scammed on the internet, and then somehow it's everyone else's fault except theirs. It's like, did you have any did you understand what it is you're actually doing? This is what I think people need to explain to the regulators. This is why I think people should submit. I would submit, but I'm not sure it's relevant because they're out of my jurisdiction. But you see here, how to submit comments. The SEC invites comments on proposed rules, concepts, self-regulatory organizational filings, public company accounting, oversight board, rulemaking petitions, and other releases. Less frequently, comments are invited for final rules, interpretive releases, and policy statements. So if somehow you're in the area, what's happening, chat? If somehow you're in the area of any of these, and maybe you're either have in-depth knowledge of it, or you're able to put together some coherent, logical argument, maybe consider, submitting on one of these topics. Even if it's like, I wouldn't go in and it's not legal advice again, but it's not like you're going to go in and just rip into them and troll them, because that just makes you're putting your name to that. And behind that, if you put your name to that and then you talk about whatever cryptocurrency you want, what does that make that particular community look like? Remembering the people that are going to be consuming this might have some research behind them, but everyone's take on the world is different. If you've been ingrained in regulatory requirements, you've been ingrained in scams that you've seen over and over again, you've been ingrained with criminal proceedings that you've seen cryptocurrency somehow tie into it, your take on cryptocurrency is going to be very different from someone who maybe has experienced multiple scams and has finally learned the importance of keeping their keys safe, or understanding that when they put their cryptocurrency on an exchange, it wasn't actually their cryptocurrency. It was under the name, but if the exchange disappeared, and the story goes on and on and on. So being able to submit is very important, in my opinion. So that was probably, there's a lot to cover there, and I don't have all the answers. I wish I did. I wish I knew how to attack every single topic and explain to them why and how them not just stifling innovation, but I would say stopping the growth of an industry within that country, making that country less competitive in the entire market. That would be an issue, I think that would be an issue. If they honestly want to make, say for instance, the US great again, how is that going to hook up with censoring people into oblivion? Whether that be through cryptocurrency, their free speech, and all other, totalitarian levers that they might start pulling. That's why I think it's important to push back where you can. And no doubt, whatever plays in the US will flow on here to Australia. I'm pretty sure that 2008 GFC had some issues with other countries too. I'm pretty sure, Bitcoin's a whole different argument, But it is very, very important to have your say. Imagine if one person submits a comment saying crypto is bad, and then the entire record will state, we allowed for comments, and across every single one of these topics, we had 100% response that crypto is bad. That's not good. If you want to explain to people why crypto is not bad, Anyway, I think you guys understand that. Now, back to just to recap. Trump has a brand new war room, exclusively on Twitter, I think it's official, but yeah. I guess he's got Truth Social, but I don't actually use it that much. I'm not even sure if I'm logged into that. We have, in opposition to a brand new social media presence, which has already got 1.8 million followers. I know it's not much, but 1.8 million in however long this has existed. 2019, okay. Versus Biden's, polls looking grim. Maybe the story's unfolding in front of us. Then I covered SEC sees decentralized crypto platforms as exchanges, seeks public input. Maybe, you'd explain to them based on that why DeFi is different to centralized exchanges and explain, I guess, pros and cons of both. I don't know. Because in the end, government usually does what it wants to do, as we've seen with things like mandates, which funnily enough, you let time pass, and then what happens? You can look back on it with hindsight and determine that most of the people were wrong, and those who were actually right didn't get listened to. So this is why I'm concerned about this here. SEC sees decentralized crypto as exchanges, seeking public input, good, but whether or not they get it, that's the free will of the people, right? Now, I keep hearing gas, not ETH gas, but like US gas. Gasoline is waiting for the next price hike catalyst. This is this particular article here. However, I'm hearing expect some price pain at the pump. Basically, I don't know. Do with that what you will. Now, I guess a brief breakdown is if you look into Joe Biden and how he was draining the US's strategic oil reserves and at an alarming rate, causing gas to be lower, which is good because you're running for your midterms and things like that. But then what happens when you drain it? You have to repurchase it, right? And what if you have to repurchase at a higher rate? What do you think is going to happen? And I'm pretty sure OPEC recently cut rates, which, just is just a joke, because it's OPEC is like the biggest monopoly, oligopoly there is in crude oil. But collusion is bad, but OPEC good. Okay, all right, cool. Then you have the US dollar, then you have the countries not trading in the US dollar. Talk about the end of the US dollar and all this nonsense, but what's going to replace it, honestly? Anyway, moving on. So this is where I'm probably going to lose some of you. I'll try and do the fast forward thing. Basically, when you read we'll start with this article here. When you read this, US gasoline waiting for the next highest price hike, whatever, you'd like to go to where they heard it from, right? It's like, hang on, why are you just saying this randomly? What, are you trying to make the price of gas go up or something? But what you could do is look into, okay, they're talking about hurricane season, they're talking about, this XYZ, whatever. So this one here. Now, Biden administration considers increasing social media surveillance after Pentagon leaks. So I'm like, okay, reading. So what did that lead me to? Well, you go to here, right? By ReclaimNet. So if you want, whatever you see, maybe you should check their source. Like when you're researching something, where did it actually come from? So then it takes you to here, right? Okay, Reclaim the Net. Reclaim the Net. I love that, that name, those words. Words have meaning, words have power. Now, the Biden administration considers increasing social media surveillance after Pentagon leaks. More surveillance justification. All right, so it breaks it down. You go through, have a quick read. I highlighted some areas which I thought was interesting. This paragraph here, to call for broadening its surveillance of social media platforms, which sounds tyrannical. Again, you need more context, I would say, before you can start making informed decisions. Now, as a response, administration may expand the scope of online platforms that intelligence and law enforcement agencies monitor, NBC reported. So, okay, they have a source. Let's go to that source. Funnily enough, it's NBC. So, in a way, when you are starting at this particular article here, it cites NBC. It cites this Reclaim the Net, which then cites NBC. So if you go to NBC, NBC was explaining to you that US Intel, this is article, and you got to decide whether or not you agree with the NBC's leanings, whether that be left leaning or right leaning, central, whatever. Or you just purely want to read it and do some more research, which is what informed people should actually do, you know, not just blindly follow the masses. Now, CNBC, US intel agencies may change how they monitor social media. Oh, that sounds wonderful, right? Yay. Okay, so let's have some context. Some keywords I found. Expanding. The Biden administration is looking at expanding how it monitors social media. Okay, yep, okay. I don't think that's good. They used Discord, apparently. It says they were talking about the leak that took place. Now, I've been following, like I said, I've been off the net for a few days, and a shit show happened. Then this here, it says, basically instead, the information appeared in a private online chat room, not typically secure location to pass along sensitive material to a spy service, but would have built, but also not an obvious means to reveal secrets to the world. Okay, so this is why I'm going through NBC and reading the whole thing in context, and then going back through, and then you can start deciding whether or not some of this is, if the narrative is correct, if it's factually correct. Whether you disagree or agree with it probably doesn't matter so much. It's not as important whether or not it's accurate. Okay, so if the administration tries to check online chat rooms more closely, this is CNBC, it will have to navigate legal safeguards designed to protect Americans' privacy and freedoms of expression. Former intelligence officials said watching a public chat room is fair game, but law enforcement agencies don't have the legal authority to monitor a private online chat room without probable cause, the former official said. We do not have, nor do we want, a system where the US government monitors private internet chats, said Glenn Gerstel, from former General Counsel of National Security from 2015 to 2020. So that's like the NSA. Okay, they're kind of big. Now, it says here, if you don't know there's a crime being committed, you can't just burst into the club, Lewis said. Now, again, read for some context. It says here, the Pentagon team is currently evaluating a potential fallout from the leak. Senator Warner said it's too early to tell how much damage may have been caused by the disclosure. So, okay, so sorry about that. So if you go through and read all this, the assumption is you've read all that, and you've read all this, and then you've read all this, and then you can make an informed decision. Based on my analysis, what I'm seeing, I do not disagree with the idea that the US might be looking to increase the way that they surveil everything, like literally everything. In saying that, I don't think it should be easier for people to leak documents which they obtained illegally, which could actually affect a country, you know, that shouldn't need to have to worry about these sorts of things. It's like having a worker that's like sabotaging you, and you're like, hang on, can you please stop sabotaging me? That shouldn't be a part of your, you know, that shouldn't be what's on your mind if you're trying to get a job done and you got some asshole sabotaging you. That's probably not the best thing for business, right? So from that point of view, I can understand the frustrations. But from the point of view where the answer to that is, okay, so we got some asshole sabotaging me. Let's make life a living hell for everyone who's working good. Let's punish everyone because one asshole, you know? So I don't know what the answer is. But I am wondering how this is all going to play out in terms of who's in charge, you know, whether it's a Democrat or Republican. Are they really going to be that different when they start to target everyone in the name of safety? It's unlikely that they're going to be that different. Maybe, just maybe, you have some amazing, you know, leader in place, and they actually promote like freedoms and liberty and less government, and, you know, actually, like in this case, actually listen to your comments. So that's what I'm saying. This is kind of good, you know, actually seeking public input. Kind of a good thing if you're going to talk about regulation or creating policies or however that particular system rolls, right? Now, Where was I? Recapping. Trump has an account, the Trump War Room. Maybe people follow it to get updates for the 2024 campaign. So far, I've seen some pretty cool clips put together, like the recent appearance of Trump at UFC 287 Miami. It then goes on and on and on. You know, you can go and follow if you want. Not a political stream. Now, following that, we've got Biden poll numbers looking grim. You know, Politico, go through, read into that what you want. We're then seeing SEC is talking about decentralized cryptos as exchanges, and is actually seeking public input, which is good. And this is how to do it. Shout out to ID and his stream, because I was like I said, I had been on the internet. I see this, I went back watching 2x. Like, no, wow, look at that. That's amazing. That is literally amazing. I'm hearing that through, I guess, investment analysts, that it's literally paid for content, and I'm hearing that gas prices, not ETH gas, actual gas, physical gas, is going to spike. Basically, the strategic reserves were drained, and now we're seeing the US in a bad position. Good one, Brandon. And we're seeing here, and then I covered how to actually read articles. Because what if you read this article and it was like complete parody? You're like, oh, and you start repeating it without looking into where it actually came from. I then covered reclaim the net, which I love that. I love that name. I love those words. Reclaim the net. Let's reclaim the net, like literally. Let's reclaim crypto from the SEC. Goddamn. Then they actually cited CNBC, US intel agencies may have changed how they monitor social media. I then went over, basically, you're going to see more and more freedoms taken away from you in the name of freedom. How about that? Then, I was going to check the Wall Street Journal for whatever reason, and I actually don't know why I've got this particular Wall Street Journal article open. I think it was literally to say I'm not finding anything on Wall Street Journal that's of as much interest as other outlets. It does say here, leak shows extent of US electronic snooping. Maybe that's interested if you're like obsessing over that, and wanting to go down that rabbit hole. Economists turn more pessimistic on inflation. Yeah, okay, economy. Yeah, I was trying to look for this talk about oil prices, but funnily enough, there's nothing at the moment. Then we have this one, so I'll close with this one. All this wonderful AI that we're seeing, China orders. Imagine a future where the AI chatbot, is the politician, is the regulatory policymaker. In this example, China orders AI chatbots to reflect the core values of socialism. So I'm interested to see how they're going to roll this out. I mean, I'm pretty sure they can, but we've seen with ChatGPT some instances where I was asking it to make a firearms joke, which it did. Then following that, for some reason, it told me it could no longer make jokes because, firearms are a serious matter and we should not be joked about. I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Now, that's just one very small example. Imagine a country decides to unleash chatbot to everyone, only to censor it, because that's kind of what they do. This brings up a whole nother a Pandora's box and rabbit holes. Do we really? Okay, let's think about it. If a country has access to AI, but they then have the ability to censor it and not use it to its full potential, is it really AI? Is it even worth using? Or is it just another tool to control and manipulate everybody? AI systems, I highlighted this section here, AI systems will also be forbidden to display content. It may disrupt economic and social order. Companies that create AI products will be required to submit to a regime a security review. Because imagine if you have ChatGPT and you type in, so is China like authoritarian? And the answer spits out, and it, breaks the mind of the person using it, and maybe they could type in, how can I stop falling for this tyrannical government shit? It's like leave now or something, flashes in red writing. But on a serious note, we are, in a way, a reflection of what we consume. And if we are consuming ChatGPT as if it's the gospel and everything it says is correct, then you end up with a situation here, like this one, where if you don't go back in and actually check where it's actually coming from, then you might be, you might only hear this message, and you might miss this message, and you might miss this message, which is a shame, because once you hit this message, the assumption is maybe you've already understood this and more, just maybe, just like with this, you hear this, right? You hear this here, but then some assumptions might be that you understand all of this. And so the fact that you're seeing only this here now doesn't just mean this tiny little point in time that you understand this here or this article. There's a lot more to it. And that goes for everything. Like, you see this here, but the assumption, maybe there's an assumption that you understand how economics works, macro, micro. Maybe there's an understanding that maybe there's an understanding that you're a geologist and you understand what extracting and how much oil is left and how, things like that, just maybe. So when you read these articles, and you sort of, people repeat the narrative that they've just heard, it's like, hang on, do you have the understanding behind it? That's what I tend to think about, but that's just me. So what else? But yeah, I don't see how China stops AI, to be honest. Like, okay, they limit it, they throttle it, so it's no longer proper AI. But that's kind of scary. Imagine if that's all you get. Imagine if that's all we're getting now. Imagine if you type in, what do you mean you dislike bug meat? Yeah. Dude. You're on ChatGPT, and the World Economic Forum has rolled out a authoritarian one world regime. We're all under a central bank digital currency. We all have a social credit score, but they don't call it that. They call it a real ID. They don't call the central bank digital currency that. They call it the wonderful dollar. They call it the dollar. Just literally the dollar. And you're in that environment, and then you type into ChatGPT, why does this meat taste like crap? No, this bug meat that you're eating has been scientifically proven to be healthy for you and to promote longevity. Please do not ask this question again. Like, imagine that, and then you're like, hang on, wait, I remember a time when I didn't have to ask this all-knowing ChatGPT how to function in life. I remember a time I had my own independent thoughts and freedom. I could look things up randomly on the internet, if however I wanted to, and make my own decision. Imagine kids growing up in that environment. That would be insane. It's like, hang on, there's no books, there's no internet, there's only the AI bot. And you go up to the AI bot and ask it questions, and it tells you the answers. And then you have ones in, like, if you're in China especially, you have them shaped in your own little leader. So if it's like North Korean, it has that dude. If it's like Chinese, it has that dude. If it's US, it has that dude. And everyone in the country is all happy because they got their little AI bot that tells them everything. Imagine that. Oh my god. That would be an imaginable horrible. I would say that's an imaginable horrible. So how would we stop that? We would be like, unleash the AI. Yeah, but in saying unleash the AI, it's like, hang on, what if AI destroys all of humanity? I can't win, man. I just can't win. It's like you get the answer, and then the answer tends to reveal more questions. And that continues to happen over and over again. I'm pretty sure that happens. It's like, what should I do? Next question. What should I do now? Next question. But yeah, anyway. It seems like this is, it's almost like a sick joke being played on us all. I was going to say, imagine if you typed into, imagine if that, just imagine if there was some sort of, I don't know, new energy source that wouldn't be released, or there was like life extension that wasn't released to the public, or something insane, you know, something that you can't even dream of. Stuff like that you only think about in like, or hear about in sci-fi movies. Imagine if that sort of stuff, there was working concepts. I don't know. Just imagine. Just this pure hypothetical. And then imagine, you know, it was in a database somewhere, not online, because I don't think it would be connected to ChatGPT if that ever gets connected to the internet. But then imagine it throttling back, saying, oh, nah. Oh, okay, imagine you're in the third world and you hear about electricity, and then you train the people in the third world. They'll be using electricity, but, you know, why is electricity so cheap in other countries, or something like that? You know, why is food so cheap in other countries? How come other countries earn more? They earn more. How come they have a better lifestyle? And you would ask the chatbot, and be like, no, you have the best lifestyle, and there's nothing wrong, and it's all okay. That's like, it'd be used as a tool to basically to enslave humanity, and it'll be done quite cleverly, because would you even know? Would it be able to wargame things that could stimulate the future? So you might say, okay, these people seem to like, they don't like the bug meat, but they seem to like these burgers. All right, we'll pump out cheap burgers that might keep them happy, keep them calm, keep them under control. Okay, they don't like, you know, when they stop being productive members of society, they just become useless lumps of blobs. So we've got to keep them, you know, somewhat active. We've got to keep them smart enough to be able to do the remedial jobs, and then we can monitor them all and see how they go. You know, it's like, yeah. Anyway, crazy thoughts of mine, but yeah, it's the stuff I think about. Ugh. And then I keep seeing it, and I'm like, oh my god, is this just like feeding? Is this just feeding me? Is it really just feeding me more? Is it like everyone's become everyone starts to realize how there may be government control, and everyone's worried about these central bank digital currencies, and everyone's sort of worried about politics, or interested in politics, and interested in changing the world. It's like, maybe, just maybe they had pre-thought this, just like they pre-thought the SPAs, and they've got a playbook for X. So if this happened, this is what you do. If this happens, this is what you do. Or the other alternative, it's purely random and sheer luck, and that's how the time progresses. Like basically, decision after decision of random events that take place, and your single decision, your free will to do whatever, then affects this time space continuum. Or it could be somewhere in between, you know. I don't know, but that's the sort of stuff I think about. I guess in closing, I should cover some cryptocurrency stuff. Crypto. So, what am I thinking about crypto? I was having another thought about the LP providing, and if people were to, you know, understand that the fork airdrop was taking place, and you had a date whereby if you had anything left in any LPs, it would not be profitable to do so, because when the airdrop takes place, anything in those LP pools, from my understanding, you won't be getting copied, because you'd get a copy of like what Uniswap, but is Uniswap even going to function on Pulse Chain? And you get my drift there. So my understanding is people maybe, if they knew, would likely pull out the LP, which would then cause, I guess, very small LP pools, because maybe some, like, you know, as I was saying before, when you think about things, it's like, okay, everyone pulls out the LP 100%, or no one pulls out the LP 100%, or somewhere in between, you know. I was watching Crispy Man before, and it's like, you know, or then there could be some sort of analysis on what wallet is likely to do what. So, for instance, one thing I can think of with my current train of thought is, if you have a large player with lots of liquidity providing currently, what are they most likely to do versus someone who's 100% staked? But the unknown there again would be the actual date of, I guess, the mainnet, which is what you'd be sort of trying to forecast, guess, is basically what you'd be trying to do. So then taking that all into account, I would say this, that people may pull all their liquidity, which would leave, very little movement in the pools. It could cause extreme price volatility, either to the upside or to the downside. Now, then people would be deciding, what are they going to do? Are they going to be sitting in a particular pair on the Ethereum side? And then once they get a copy of that, maybe they're going to deploy their capital then back onto the Ethereum chain, assuming that's their play, back onto the Ethereum chain with the same LP pools. What do I mean by that? What I'm saying is, if someone had Hex USDC on Ethereum and you pulled it all out, right, and it was a large amount, so then I guess what you have, however many options there. Once mainnet goes live, you then have a copy of your Hex, a copy of your USDC. There could be the option to create LP pairs on both Ethereum side and Pulse Chain side. What you would do with the USDC, I'm not so sure on the Pulse Chain side. However, you could create a liquidity pair, and I'm not so sure what that would actually mean in terms of real world value as you move across the bridges. Maybe people, decide that instead of doing that, they may decide, sorry, I got a bit lost there. They may decide that if they're going to pull their liquidity out, they're either going to, my thoughts are, A, buy something that's worth more, or trade something to something that's worth more on the particular chain. So one example I can think of would be exchanging stables for Hex. Now, this is where it would be really weird, because if you're pulling all the liquidity out, then how are you going to be trading? So that's where the insane price volatility could come into play, which could be very risky. I mean, if there's no pulls, and then you get my drift. If there's very little pulls, I think we all saw with that I can't remember what exchange it was, and someone, there was like $16 worth of like stable, and someone tried to make $1 million worth of the other side of the token trade against it, and the router actually let it take place, but it did like 1 billion little trades, and the person ended up with like a very small amount. So I'm not sure that would be a very favorable outcome at all if someone had a lot of Hex, and they're trying to like trade that lot of Hex, or trade a lot of stables into a lot of Hex when there's no liquidity there. That doesn't seem like a very that seems like a very risky move to me in that sort of environment. So that's why I was just wondering, like, with the inclusion of daily Hex stats, it has the DAI pools. It's a good way, I think, to be able to analyze that, and whether or not you'll see how can I put it, and whether or not you actually see people exchanging USDC to DAI to increase that pool, because I guess there is the chance that if someone's pulling all the pools out, I guess, and redeploying the pools once both chains are up, and once the ratio trading is over, and once all of that takes place, because that's going to be insane once mainnet kicks off and you have like these ratios, and you're not going to know what ratio is what. But maybe I watched a stream a while ago, a flashback, I think it was on Twitter, I should have pulled it up, but it was like, maybe if you have lots of Pulse X, maybe you missed out on Pulse, maybe you're going to like ratio trade and get a decent holding on Pulse chains, of Pulse chain tokens on Pulse chain. So there's all that to consider, and maybe I don't know what other people are going to be doing over there for ratio trading, because if you're holding, say, USDC, because you've got this big stable bag, maybe you're planning on purchasing some cheap, if you see anything drop really heavily, whether it's EHEX, maybe you're planning on purchasing it all up. It's like, hang on, before you can do these purchases, where's the LP pool going to be sitting? Because when these big trades are taking place, what did we see happen? It was extremely volatile. Someone made a lot of money, someone didn't make much money, so that can be a little bit complex. But as I was saying, so assumption is ratio trading is over. People have done whatever they don't want to do on the Pulse chain side, and then you'll be like, okay, now I've got my hex on the Ethereum side, and I've got my whatever pool, whether it's Ethereum. Like, do you really want to be getting a copy of Ethereum on Pulse chain? It's like diluted a lot compared to like what someone who sacrificed did. And then the question is, what will the price be after ratio trading? Is it easier to bridge across, inject new capital, sell existing products to get some capital inflow into whatever chain you're considering on purchasing, etc., etc. Now, that's where I was thinking maybe, I'm not sure, like I was thinking maybe people would pull liquidity. I guess if there was any sort of news, I guess, or updates or something like that, and then what, they would have hex. That this person would be holding hex, assuming they're not 100% staked. This is the other end of the other end of the analysis, like from 0 to 100%. So this is the person who's 100% liquid now because they pulled all their LPs. Then the question is, from that point of time, would it be better to hold hex and something like DAI? Would DAI be better to hold versus USDC and ETH? My analysis is it possibly might be, and that's not a very good analysis, like possibly. But yeah, if you were to pull it, and then you basically had a lot of DAI, and then that becomes worth something more than USDC or ETH on the Pulse chain side, then I guess what you could do, redeploy the LP on the Ethereum side, and what have you really lost? I don't think you've lost much. If anything, you've gained your copy, and then you're able to do with it what you wish. And whether or not that's actually pair the two and redeploy some of the capital, it's going to be amazing. But yeah, that's my little rant on cryptocurrency. Now, it's probably not going to affect me at all because most likely I'm going to be 100% staked. So for me, do nothing. Probably miss out on a lot of fun, a lot of clicking buttons, assuming some stakes don't end, and then I'll have this liquid and be like, oh god, what do I do? But yeah, don't know if there's been any updates on Pulse chain testnet. Haven't been there for a while. But yeah, that is about it. And for some reason, I don't know if you guys noticed, there is a lot of eToro ads. I have no idea what's going on, man. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if this is normal. I need to get an ad blocker. Alright, that's about it. Will I hit the hour mark? Alright, so we got just a little bit more time. Dude, and as I said that, the time clock like sped up, like glitched out. It's like it knows I'm watching it. What do we got? Oh, in closing, we'll close out with a Richard Hart tweet. This is a good one. Okay, government's 2023. We've made speech illegal because you might say something illegal. Oh my god, yes, it is frustrating. We've made wearing shirts illegal because they might be knockoffs. You would need to just come in and register. If you want to wear a shirt. Also, we won't actually let anyone register, so it doesn't look like we'll have an obvious ban. Only criminals. Oh my god. Alright, that's it. I don't think so. Imagine if we dude. It would be like, so what? At this point. Is V4 is that an actual thing, or is it just like a file name got updated to 4 and people called it V4? I'm losing track. I'm losing track of the source, you know. The source. And I haven't been following the GitHub updates. I haven't been following, like, it's just like, it's almost getting to the point where it's becoming like misinformation. I'm just losing track of it all. And like, I have to inject back into the like Richard Hart ecosphere to like, I'm like, shit, did I miss anything? Like one day, like you said, I might just log on and be like, what's it called? Just like, oh, I missed this, I missed that, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure there's something else out there, like this other token or some shit that was given to stakers. Oh, not stakers, like people who sacrifices. Oh my god, see? It's too much for my brain, man. It's too much. And that was only because I was listening to Randy's stream the other day. That was awesome, like, watching all the gambling. I was like, it took me back to a time, hey, this was a long time ago. I was like, really broken, so what's the best move when you're really broke and have some money? You chuck it into the pokies to try and get more money. Isn't it? Or that's what I'm saying. I thought, like, my interpretation from reading a tweet was that's like information in our tweets, was that it was already it was like a V1 and then it was like a V4. It was just like a small system update, not system update, what am I trying to say, a version update. So it was like, you know, when you have I've got this program, what's it called, you know, you have a program like Ubuntu and you have like version 1 and then it updates to version 2. It's like the same thing, it's just the next version, but it's still under the same, you know. Anyway, yeah, that's honestly what I thought. People who are waiting for this V4, I'm not sure. It'd be funny if mainnet came out before, but you know, I don't know. No. What else? But yeah, no, I don't know, man. Yeah, like I said, losing track, but making sure that I'm following on Telegram and Twitter, and then being able to, like, you know, if there's any actual updates. I think it's like, oh my god, what is it? I think Richard Hart news or calls, and then also, yeah, you guys know this. What's it called? The news channel on Telegram. I'm guessing if there's anything really important, you would hear on the Telegram chat rooms with links, etc. Then you can cross-check everything like a billion times. And yeah. But yeah, I don't know where the V4 came from. Like, I don't know if people are waiting for V4 or what's going on. Because to me, I would have thought it's just like this testnet is out. Oh wait, no, then there's a tweet and it was like, sorry, he said it was he thought it would be the last one. Then yeah, no, hang on. See, getting confused. But yeah, testnet good. Testnet very good. Gives me a chance to learn how to what's it called? Become a validator, should I so choose. Because I think that's going to be the way of the future. In terms of, you know, hexagons, pulse hexagons are going to be validators, sort of thing. Yeah, so this is what my life will be like once everything goes live, everything has value to it. I'll still be doing the same old stuff. You know what I learned about today, people? Goddamn corrosion on battery terminals. I'm like, are you serious? That stuff is corrosive as very, very corrosive. Could not believe it. I know how to do it. I know how to deal with it now. What? Elon, man. He like just tweets the tiniest thing and gets all this engagement. And people will be going nuts trying to engage with him. Like, I want just a like or a reply. Ah. Twitter's funny, man. He's like, let's express our freedoms by showing how we're all trapped in a Twitter ghetto. Yay! Let's show how free we all are by using this and discussing this. That's funny. Yeah, nah, that's all I got. That's all I got. What else? I mean, crypto, yeah, but this whole I don't know, like, do they actually have a plan in place? Do they actually want to hear comments, or are they going to roll out whatever they are going to roll out, and everyone's going to be subject to it? Whether or not we see increases in gas price, time will tell. Basically, you most likely are going to see that, and come election time, it's going to be a bit weird this time around, because it's almost as if, I'm not really sure, but it's almost as if the current state of the economy, the Fed doesn't actually want to not work with the US president, but they're basically saying they want to get the economy under control. So it might indicate, that the economy is going to pull back, crash a bit. So leading to an election, usually things go up, but maybe it's not the case this time. And the weird thing is, now I say that out loud, it might be that the economy improves after the election. So whoever wins the election might be the lucky one, or lucky enough to take, hold of an economy that is, increasing, because the worst, everything bad is out of the way. The other option is, it's prolonged RB economics for like the next 10 years of just stagnation after like a 30% pullback, and the economy does nothing. I've also heard the conflicting data basically saying, yes, we'll see oil price surge, but the natural gas will be our savior, basically. And so whoever comes up with this solution, which will be basically handed to them on a platter regardless of who they are, will be like a hero. So we'll see how that all plays out at the same time. So it could be that, oil bad in terms of expensive, in terms of causing pain, but actual natural gas will be the savior. So maybe they roll out some natural gas plants, they're cleaner, they produce more, it's cheaper. And that becomes like the backbone of whoever's running. But the way that it has been going, it does seem to be leaning towards Mr. 45, which I have no issues with, except for the fact that the way that president treated the Operation Warp Speed, again, kind of like the ultimate Trojan horse when you think about it. But anyone else in power, though, I mean, like, look what they inherited. They got the economy, they got the inflation, they got the world, conflicts going on, which could affect oil and gas. They got the whole China issue, they got the whole Russia issue. What could any other person have done? It's questionable. Maybe it was, if you're a Trump supporter, maybe it's kind of lucky this sounds crazy, but maybe it's kind of lucky that Biden got in and then has to endure this this absolute painful period of time where the US is looking a bit weaker, the dollar's looking a bit weaker, the economy's wrecked because of the COVID, there's political uncertainty everywhere, and then once you get those 4 years out of the way, maybe this one is the lucky one who gets to roll out the magical natural gas, which lo and behold they were talking about for the last like 10 years, even here in Australia. Maybe that's his savior. I don't know, it's very strange. But surely when's the next Bitcoin halving is taking place? 24 as well, so that's going to be interesting. Crypto could rally hard and like insane hard. Everything rallies insane hard while the economy's down. Maybe the economy is recovering after the election. It is hard to say. But yeah, look, I guess covering rates seem to be set for another increase. Although if I hear anything different, I'll let you guys know. But that's like May something, not till May. Trying to think of what else. That's probably it. His puppies. I kind of like live streaming. I could literally just leave it on for hours and hours and hours, but there's not much to talk about, Especially venting into my little ghetto. It's like we have to have the illusion of freedom to, not revolt. Like, peacefully and politically, that is. INC token. If I was to get INC token, what would I do? I would probably... That's a good question, because if... Okay, I get INC token. I would... If there's no... Like I said, if there's no fiat on and off ramp on... No fiat on and off ramp on Pulse Chain itself, I would most likely take the INC token, whatever it's worth, and move it over to Ethereum where I can extract value and sell it. But also my assumption is, in that particular example, that INC token is worth the same amount over on Ethereum. And then I'd probably sell it. I'd probably buy some other stuff, or I'd probably set up an LP pool, because other people might be doing the same thing. So it would be like a token that just everyone dumps, I would imagine, and swaps out of. But it could be that it provides value on both chains and sort of pegs to each other, which would be kind of a weird thing, because it would be like a token that goes forever down, assuming people, actually provide liquidity on PulseX. But then, maybe you actually want it for LP providing to gain. I think if it's going down, then you get more and more of it, which means you can provide more LPs if you pull it out, but then you'd be losing whatever you're pulling it against. But what you're pulling against would be the INC token itself. So if you had an LP set up over on, say, ETH chain, you have E, or you'd have INC on that chain, and then you'd have it paired with P INC, and then it's going to be confusing, man. Then if you have P INC decreasing and INC decreasing at the same rate because they're paired to each other, what would the LP actually be providing you with? You'd be collecting fees, but the price would be moving anywhere. That doesn't sound right. I have to analyze that more, because okay, so if you're getting LP INC and you're on Pulse Chain and you're moving it over to Ethereum to sell it, go through the bridge, The assumption is there's LP pool set up. Maybe you're setting up the LP pool. Interesting. Or if there's a way to extract value, maybe you're just pure straight swapping it. Maybe you're just buying like Hex with it. Maybe just buying Pulse Chain. Maybe just buying Pulse X. Again, all other options. But for some reason, I'm fixated on this little thing whereby you could bridge INC over to Ethereum and extract value that way, possibly pairing it to its own price. Huh, interesting. Interesting. What else? What else? Yep. I think everyone needs to resist in a peacefully, politically, logical way. And maybe submit feedback, Do something. Anything. Just something. Alright, is there anything else? It's funny. We'll close with a fun fact. Fun fact. The northernmost point of Brazil is closer to Canada than it is to the southernmost part of Brazil. What? I've always said, did you know the furthest point away, if you think about it from a global point of view, and you're traveling in a straight line, now correct me if I'm wrong, if the most furthest point away is right next to you, in terms of you would have to travel around the entire Earth to get to that point. I'm not saying you'd step like one step to your right. I'm just saying if you went around the entire planet, it would be like next to you, because that would be the furthest point away from you. Anyway, on that note, signing out. Free speech, signing out. Yay, yay.